But I had a good time. I know you did.
We got a really spot on the phone.
Yes.
Don't say too loud, because you might hear.
We're gonna call the work session for the City of Laurel, June 11th, 2024 board. Get everything going real quick. So, we got the agenda, then we got minutes for May 28th, other minutes of work session minutes. Any questions, comments, or concerns on those? All right, good. All right, then, Laurel Police Department will have, Sergeant Foe, 5-year recognition, Sergeant Bergman, 5-year recognition, during the regular session, so good there. We have 2 public hearings. One's gonna be related to, the mixed use, amendment specific to our service station, and that's dealing with the old, Shell Station site. That, Mark, you wanna just talk about that real quick? Just explain it.
Well, sure. Okay, right. Yeah, first public hearing has to do with a text amendment, which is different from an actually passing an ordinance. It's just, this one is allowing for service stations in the mixed use zoning as a conditional use, with 2 stipulations, which, the first being that it has to be within half a mile by 75, so geared towards, providing service for the traffic public. And also it needs to have previously held a service station in the past 30 years. So that's, what's being added to the use code.
Questions? Ms. Hyde?
No question.
Ms. Lynn?
No question.
Ms. Dean? Mr. Kwame?
No questions.
Projects keep moving, we love that. Then we have a public hearing, in the regular section, which would be for Craigview Environmental Services for submission of a permit application for storage of solid waste to the EPD of Georgia, related to the property they have. A regular session will start at 7:30. Ordinance 2402, which would be revising collection of residential refuse. Paraphrasing this, it's making some changes necessary for the, garbage cans that we have. You want to talk about that?
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor and Council.
What we're looking at doing is changing the limit on size of, weekly pickups. Right now it's at 150 gallons. Cans that we issue out to residents, 95 gallons. So if we can have more of a uniform look, instead of bringing trash cans to our city, we issue out city marked trash cans. It makes that a little better look with residents.
And not risking, if somebody wants a second can,
They would simply just purchase them, they contact sanitation department, and they're able to purchase a second can all the way up to 3 additional cans.
How much is it?
42.50 42.50 per can additional.
Questions?
No question.
Ms. Dean?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So, there was still, in here, curbside.
In the
So
ordinance.
what, are we leaving that in there?
No, ma'am, in the ordinance, it shows on there has to be 10 foot from the back door of the house.
Okay, under Article 8, collection of residential refuse, number 8, it said curbside, and then you have it, strike out, certain things, but it's still there. And I do know that you changed it over there, but do we need to this in?
The only thing we have to say curbside is bulk pickup. That's the only thing is bulk. In the ordinance now, the trash pickup is backdoor service. Believe it costs.
So I don't know if that, if it pertain to bulk or does it pertain to trash? Number 8.
Curbside, when it says curbside, that's the definition, that is pertaining to bulk. Yes.
Okay, so we probably need to put that in there, because some people will read it as extra on trash.
Okay.
If it doesn't say, I think we need to be specific, since we're trying to lead off into a new direction, I think we need to be specific with these, instructions or program here. Because somebody say, well, it didn't say that, and it doesn't say that.
We make
First hearing.
Yeah, right.
The second reading, 2 weeks in.
no problem with that.
Any other questions, Mr. Quack? Any comments?
No comments.
So I did want to kind of jump into the discussion. So that curbside is under the definition section. Is there a specific place where it says the manner of pickup in the actual verbiage of the ordinance? Do you know what that is, or if that exists?
It does, in the bulk pickup section, it does say curbside.
Right, that's, and C,
Yeah.
that's exactly,
Yeah, 523 collection, so. Yeah, it says back door or side door.
And it's 10 foot within the back door.
Yeah.
For residential
It is.
pickup.
It is currently as part of the, ordinance. And that first section is just providing all language for the definitions that are used in the ordinance, so, I mean, I feel like it looks like it's okay, but if you're gonna
We
address
can
it,
wordsmith it, and you're right.
yeah, cause it does look like it's already covered.
We can wordsmith it, because
the number of bulk items that will be picked up per pickup.
we did change that. It was 2 in the ordinance, we changed that to 3.
It's in there.
It is, it's, under section 523 collection, it's paragraph C. The collector shall collect bulk items curbside from residential premises once per week. Three items.
Actually, that makes sense, because you're, if I just leave one in the garage, you're still picking it up next weekend. You're already making a trip out there, I'm getting in the habit of getting one regular.
Yeah, and then section A has yard waste is curbside, bulk items curbside. And then the first paragraph, it says garbage from residential premises, at the back door, from the back door. So it does tell you where it is picking up from.
If we can, explain why that is, only 3 items, because how long it takes to back and forth.
It does take a while to pick up back and forth. A lot of times, they'll put out 5 or 6 items. But with the 3 item max, it cuts down on the number of roll-offs we're actually getting rid of each week. We're just trying to keep things in line and budget-wise and still get everything picked up as well.
So when you're coming to pick up, and there's a certain number of items, and you have to leave an item behind, are you providing a note, any kind of notification that that item needs to be removed from the curb?
Currently, whenever bulk items are picked up, they call into the sanitation office and let Nick, which is our sanitation coordinator, know, hey, I have bulk at my address. He's gonna ask them what they have, and then explain to them the three items they've been asking now. And then, that's what they've been putting out. They've been following the rules pretty good on the 3 items.
Except in Foxborough.
Yeah, I saw that the other day.
Yeah, so the items, there were some items removed, there's an item remaining, it's been over a week, and now someone else has put a sofa on the curb.
So,
Yeah. So that's why I'm asking, I understand making the ordinance and the language clear, but in practice on the street, we do need some kind of, either we said before, rolling out of a message, or when you pick up the bulk, leaving a note behind. We've got to figure out something, because people's bad habits are remaining, and people are watching that and doing the same thing.
usually when they have a lot of items as well, they go on the schedule for the following week as well. That way they won't have, 12 items. They'll put you on the schedule for the next few weeks. That way it's constantly going on.
It's good to be on the schedule for pickup, but it's remaining on the curb for the week.
So, for that, bulk pickup, how often do you pick up every day?
They pick up every time. They do, both pick up Monday through Wednesday. They do leave the land Thursday and Friday.
Okay, so if someone, I think I read, you can't put it out before 6 in the evening, or something, the day before, and then 7 that day. So if it, I think for Renee's question, if it isn't put out there between those times to pick up, when would you pick up for that street? Say somebody put something out there after you,
Have to pick it up.
Yeah.
It'll be the following week if we didn't.
so it's gonna stay out all
We'll
week.
stay out there all week.
So now what do we do about that?
Right, so we clearly have a problem, because, honestly, if someone were to drive through the subdivision on the weekend, people are putting those items out on the weekend. And then for whatever, if they're scheduling pickup or not, the particular house that I'm thinking of, they must not have scheduled anything because it remained out there. Then it looks like somebody came to pick up something, but there's still stuff remaining out on the curb. So I just want us to have some way, to provide some notification to those who are not doing the right thing, that they cannot leave it at the curb for another week.
Another week, yeah.
Yeah.
So we really put-
Let me code enforcement.
I have a question regarding the reducing the capacity of from 1,500 gallons, 150 gallons to 95 gallons. So that's equivalent from 2 garbage cans to 1 garbage can, right?
The one large can that we dropped off these residents, 95 gallons.
So the 95 gallon here, so do we have a price structure? If, maybe I'm just jumping this ahead, the new price structure for in case that a resident, a family of 4 or greater, has more trash.
They can purchase additional cans, up to 3 additional cans, so they can have 4 altogether.
So will the price will be double, or what the price structure look like?
It's $42.50 per additional can.
$250 per quarter.
Yes, ma'am.
So if it,
Per can.
so if they have 3, then it would be 100 and 100, that much. So triple the price if they need 3 cans.
It's a lot of garbage. 95 gallons actually could be. I mean, personally, I've got a 95 gallon, I've got a whole herd of people in my house. I don't even fill it up myself.
I have to.
Cause we go through quite a few trash bags in my house.
Other questions?
Thank you.
That's pretty much it. The regular session for the, city council will start at 7:30. As always, we have some amazing coffee somewhere around this building.
Where's,
I think
where's
it's
the
that.
cake?
So we'll start off at 7:30.
No candy? No candy, no.
But you second reading.
Same thing with the, I guess so. I have to do that. So it's not much. Very small shop, maybe about the size of like a cell phone shop or something. Oh, yeah, it's really small. I just felt a little misconception. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's higher than good. Elevation is
He's on. Hey, Mr. Quah.
Okay. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Alright. Call to order the June 11, 2024 regular meeting of the Morrow City Council. If you will stand for the pledge of allegiance, followed by one of the signs. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Approval of the adoption of the May 28th regular meeting minutes and the May 28th work session minutes. You have those before you. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion properly seconded. All those in favor say aye. Ms. Knight?
Aye.
Ms. Dean?
Aye.
Mr. Quah? Can you hear me, Quah?
Yeah, barely.
Okay. Approval of the minutes
Yes.
and Ms. Wynn.
Yes.
Presentation from the Morrow Police Department.
Mayor, City Council, thank you for the time. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It's always a pleasure as management or supervisors to be able to recognize the people that work for you, be it good deeds, community service, calls that they've answered. In this case tonight, we want to recognize two of our officers for longevity. So we have two officers in the city of Morrow who have reached the milestone of 5 years of employment with the city. So if I could get both of y'all to come up together. Sergeant Burlong and Sergeant Ogle, please.
I can't remember the last time I've seen Officer Woodall without all of his gear. He looks like he's.
I just took it off, Mayor.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We just got some sovereign citizens in custody. With the sheriff's finest deputies.
Fair enough.
All right, so as I just alluded to, 5 years of service with the city of Morrow. It's a great milestone, it's a big achievement. And I was trying to think of a few words to say and something maybe about both the fellas. What came to mind is institutional knowledge. If you've heard that term, these two guys exhibit the institutional knowledge. Institutional knowledge means that they've been here, they know the city, they know the citizenry, they know the roads, they know everything there is to know about City of Morrow, and they mentor and supervise the younger officers that we have in the department. So, again, 5 years, Sergeant Furlong came to us from Chicago, somewhere up north, I think, is where that's at. Anyway, if we give them a round of applause, 5 years. Continuous service, 10, 15, 20 years, please meet the next folks that are here for 20 and 30 years. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. If you want your wife, maybe come up and get a pin on you. You know your wife? Oh, you got the whole crew. And I will step aside the crew. This is the first people I know right here.
Come on, guys. Come on.
Yeah, you can stand in front of the city council. It gives you a better view. I'm not good enough to look at anyway, so.
Oh, there's that tall boy, tall son.
I'm a bleeder, don't do that.
I have a sweater.
And don't go anywhere because we have two little small
Yes,
fights
sir.
for it.
Yes,
If you
sir.
stand up here, we'll get some good pictures. We'll just do an alphabetical order. So this one is presented to Corey Furlong. Your dedication and talents are beyond inspiring. Thank you for 5 years of service to the Marl Police Department, City of Marl. Congratulations.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Thank you for 5 years of service to the Marl Police Department, and City of Marl. Mayor and Council. Then get your buddies or whatever to take your photographs with you. That's the one you're gonna wanna put in the album. If you got friends and family, by all means, go up there, you know. Our world is very small.
You guys don't go, you're just gonna keep sitting there looking at me.
You're acting shy tonight.
It's all right, Bo.
I'm not just a way down.
Yeah.
You lay it facing me. You lay on that side, I got this side. Short people in the back.
I want to take it. Smile, Captain Smith.
Woody, get over there.
Got it.
For some reason, I didn't touch her.
Oh, no, I better.
Yes.
They look younger every year, don't they?
Definitely. Some of the last months, some of us. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
How are you? Actually, we're not ready to have a series of public hearings. The first public hearing is here. Also, item 23 or 2403, which will be a first reading of an ordinance change related to museums. A change that we'll talk about for the public hearing section. So I just wanted to.
The ordinance amendment is for the mixed-use ordinance, regarding service stations, which up until this point have been prohibited in the mixed use. But for the benefit of the community, we are adding an option to include service stations in mixed use zoning as a conditional use. The ordinance amendment also contains a stipulation that the property for consideration for conditional use for a service station must be within half a mile of I-75, and it must have been a service station within the past 30 years. That makes sure I was the same habit. Was that you talking just?
Oh, no, you're fine. It's just an act. We'll see.
So that's basically it, and of course, for this, zoning amendment, we're required to have a single public hearing and, 2 readings of the ordinance.
And we got later the first reading of the actual ordinances. So comments from the city council about this one?
I don't have any comments. I understand very specifically the property and the context of the stipulation, so I'm clear. That's my question.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Wing.
I don't have any comment or question.
Ms. Dean.
No comments.
Mr. Quan.
No, it's time to.
And then I'll close out with one comment before we get to the public itself. If a person owned a piece of property, and let's just use it in this case, and it was a gas station, right? And nothing else has been done on that property since then, and they're just simply asking for the ability to have a brand new one built on the same property. You know, it's hard to basically say you forfeited that front. Now, if it's something new that's never been done, you know, that's completely something different. If it's something that's going to adversely affect someone, you know, that might be different. You know, so based on the advice of legal counsel, we have a compromise that kind of serves everybody as a purpose.
Provides an option.
Now, we still have all kinds of opportunities because it still is a conditional use. And so that still gives a chance to chime in for the other things. So now we'll open up the hearing to the actual public. Comments from citizens? Anybody? Well, it's Jerry.
How deep is that lot? Does it go all the way back to? Okay, so there was a gas station there before. Did they take the tanks out of there, or are they
Yes,
still
they did.
down in there?
Yes, they did. As a matter of fact, all of the materials were removed under the state of Georgia brownfield development codes, and all of that information is available over at the underground storage tank division over at the Forest Park.
Okay, you go down 54, you start at Walmart. From Walmart to the mall entrance, we already have 5 gas stations. Do we really need another one?
You're not really getting another one, you're just getting a replacement for the one you have.
I know, but it had been there a long, long time.
Sir?
Yeah. Can I make comments based upon what the lady said or my own comments?
Feel free to make a comment on whatever you wish.
Oh, okay, thanks. Do I need to come? Yes, you want to.
Just state your name.
Okay, I'm Mr. Moya.
You can do it from up here, you can do it from where you sit, it's all good.
Good evening. My name is Mr. Moya, and I live east on Lake Harbin between Maddox and Veracruz. In 2022, I witnessed an accident right in front of me. I came out to get my mail, and as I got my mail, there was a car speeding over the hill. If you're familiar with that area, you're coming from Maddox or coming from Veracruz, it's like this. And so I got my mail, and I looked to my neighbor, and my neighbor was coming out of the driveway, and the car that was speeding came over the hill and smashed right into him. And fortunately, no one died in the accident. It was in 2022. I was standing less than 30 feet away from the accident at that time. So I just wanted to bring a couple of issues to your attention. Many women and children walk to and from the stores and Lake Harbin between Maddox and Veracruz. From both directions, cars travel over 50 miles per hour at times. There's really speeding coming over the hills. There are no speed signs or directional signs. The only sign that's there, and it's in the pictures that I took, is a sign stating that Veracruz and Landover are the next street up. Trash collects in the makeshift runoff every time it rains. The folks from the prisons have come and cleaned it out after I made some requests to the county. But it keeps getting worse since the runoff is not good, and the runoff for the pond runoff is
I
just.
don't mean to cut you off, sir, but the area that you're talking about is not in the city of Harlem.
I understand that, thank you. And I initially called here and they referred me to Clayton County, the Click It, Fix It program, I think is what they call it.
Okay.
But that has been ineffective. The reason why I came today was to just to find out if something could be done in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Yeah.
That would still be a county commissioner.
So who do I need to see for that?
I would do two, right? There's obviously a current election for a vacated seat for District 1, and that would be decided soon. And the second one, I would call DeMont Davis.
Mark Davis?
Yes, it's gonna be slightly out of his district, but he's the only one that's still sitting that might have the ability to be able to make those calls.
Okay.
Additionally,
This
Dietrich
should be a very
Stanford,
good.
additionally, Dietrich Stanford, he's the county COO, so over operations.
What's his name?
Dietrich Stanford.
Okay.
It's like the county manager.
He's a county manager.
Yes.
Did you say Stafford?
Say again?
Did you say Stafford?
Yes, Dietrich Stanford. He's the county COO, akin to a county manager.
Okay. Well, I'll definitely get in touch with those. Thank you.
We wholeheartedly agree with you.
Yeah.
We understand, but our limits are within our jurisdiction. We do have some influence outside, but I promise when you go talk to them, they will have already talked to us
Okay.
several times, and not just related to that specific location. But just stay to the tenacity once again.
Will do. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Any comments, other comments from the audience? Hearing none, we're gonna close that public hearing. Our second public hearing is going to be a request from Tradeby Environmental Services LLC, submission of a permit application on July 24th, 2023 for the storage of solid waste to the Environmental Protection Division of the Georgia Department of Natural Resources. And I believe it was also specific to 6874 Jonesboro Road, Morrow, Georgia. If you will come up, please. At the same time, I'm going to have my zoning administrator and my fire marshal.
Yes, come on, thank you.
You'll state your name and your position in the company for that, please.
Yes, sir. My name is Justin Gelman. I'm the Regional Operations Manager of the Eastern Region for Tredevi Environmental Services. And actually, on the phone is our Vice President of Regulatory Affairs. Tina, would you like to say hello? Tina Lagrimas.
Yes, thank you. I'm so sorry. And first of all, we appreciate the time the board is allowing us, the mayor, and I apologize for not being there. I'm Tina Lagrimas, VP of Regulatory Affairs for Tredevi.
Is that PowerPoint that we presented to the city?
Yeah, I'm trying to put it up. Give me 1 second.
Because it's a requirement from in accordance with the Georgia Comprehensive Solid Waste Management or Solid Management Act, notice is hereby served that Tredevi Environmental Services LLC submitted a permit application on July 24, 2023 for the storage of solid waste to the Environmental Protection Division for the state of Georgia. Division of Georgia Department of Natural Resources, I'm sorry. And the Tredevi site is located at 6874 Jonesboro Road in Lamar, Georgia, in Clayton County. Prior to the issuance of the solid waste storage permit, Tredevi Treatment and Recycling LLC will hold a public hearing pursuant to Georgia Rule 391-3-4-03, parent 4. The public meeting will be held on Tuesday, June 11, 2024, which begins at 7:30 p.m. at Lamar City Hall, located at 1500 Palmer Road, Lamar, Georgia 30267. So that was posted on your property. However, it wasn't posted on a public roadway where you could actually see it. In other words, you put it up like a building, which is about 75 feet from the road.
That's correct, sir.
Okay, you start.
Thank you for the time to speak here this evening. Just a brief agenda. This is an overview of Tredevi, permit details, materials for acceptance in the facility, site details, go over the record keeping of what we plan to do with the permit, on-site staff, and any questions. So Tredevi Environmental Services has been in the United States here since 1982. Essentially, we have 40 locations across the United States with over 900 employees and 300 assets, conveyances, such as tractor trailers, box trucks, etc. This picture here in the image, and I'll try to jump out of the way so you can see, is the proposed location that we were looking for to perform our services. And such services, some of our customers are Georgia Tech, Georgia State, University of Georgia, Sherwin-Williams, Medline, and Corteva, just to name a few.
So with this permit, the solid waste storage permit will actually allow us to receive latex paints, inks, adhesives, surfactants, non-marketable consumer products, and used oil contaminated debris. The facility is projected at a maximum storage capacity of non-hazardous waste would be up to 1,000 containers based on 55-gallon drum equivalents. The maximum proposed storage time of non-hazardous waste within the facility would not exceed 1 year on site. Just touching on the material acceptance criteria, prior to any storage arriving or any waste arriving to the storage facility, the waste stream will have to be approved by a centralized profiling group that we have with Orchard Envy, which covers all of the United States. The facility then, once approved, will accept the containers and visually inspect to make sure that nothing is leaking or nothing is causing any sort of hazardous or contaminant. Only after approved validation of all paperwork will the waste be placed into the storage, where it will ultimately be destined for off-site treatment and/or disposal. 10% of each inbound waste stream of the pre-acceptance waste characterization is conducted, which includes physical description, solid, liquid, semi-solid, color, texture, and odor, as well as chemical analysis with description. The site operations, we were planning to be open 5 days a week from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Site security, we have closed caption cameras, security alarms, and fence with razor wire surrounding the property. As for record keeping from the facility, we have a senior operations manager who's been with the company for a little better than 10 years. We have an assistant manager who's got 5+ years of experience in the business, as well as bachelor degree field chemists and CDL Class A and Class B truck drivers. And that concludes this presentation, sir.
A series of questions. What is the, go ahead for the record, go ahead and switch your name.
Marty Tracy, zoning administrator.
Can you tell us what the current zoning classification is for the property in question?
It is light manufacturing.
What is the current use?
The current use is distribution, which is a permitted use. It's currently a first occupied building August of 2022. Chief Piper not that the operation. They are currently considered distribution because the waste products that are brought to the plant are kept in tractor trailers, the trailer, and they are tested, and as I was told before they moved in, the trailers could be there up to 2 weeks.
What changes does the proposed use do for us?
Well, currently the interior of the building, and since they first moved in, is not in use for storage of anything except packing materials to help assist with the transfer operation. It's essentially a transfer location.
So your new use would have up to 1,000 containers, 55-gallon drums inside the building?
That is what we've asked for in the permit, sir. Yes, that's correct.
For up to a year.
Fire Marshal Piper, just state your name for the record.
Sir, my name is William Piper, I'm the fire marshal for the city of Marvin.
how does the proposed changes affect the current use?
So, at the time of their CO inspection, it was classified in two different things, zoning and fire marshal, so bear with me. It was classified as a storage facility, but being that all they had inside was the storage of that, and the short-term storage of things outside in the trucks. So with this new use, with the testing of chemicals and the storage of these large quantity of non-hazardous chemicals, it's going to change it to an industrial use, which comes with a new set of inspections, verification that the existing equipment there meets the specifications of all the applicable codes, including ICC, NFPA, all those kinds of things, that determine that there's a sprinkler system capable of extinguishing a fire in a facility that has 55,000 gallons of whatever.
So, I don't know enough about these storage containers. You know, I just got visuals in my head. Tell me a little bit more about what these containers look like.
Yeah, so everything that we bring inside of our facility is a DOT regulated container. And essentially, you have to have the DOT stamp approval that states that you can ship essentially any type of book that meets the requirements of the CFR and DOT. So 55-gallon drums, steel or plastic, 5-gallon pails, steel or plastic, could be 30-gallon containers, could be a cubic yard box that's also rated for DOT transport. So as far as that would be the largest size of the container, would be a cubic yard box. So essentially, there would be no bulk storage on site at the facility. Everything's individually containerized.
If something was to happen, an accident of some sort with the containers that are being stored, potentially being stored in this facility, what in your opinion does that do?
It depends on a number of things. What is the chemical? There's a whole host of different things that could be stored. Just from the list that you guys provided, that covers a lot of different chemicals. And then us getting on scene identifying, in the addition of the hazardous waste storage in the trailers that are out front, we would have concerns of mitigating that incident safely with all of the incidental uses happening around it, while protecting the public on a very busy street in front. And then any runoff, say if anything's on fire, we have to worry about runoff of that, anything that we're extinguishing, in addition to whatever sprinkler system is activated as well, because it is kind of sitting on the top of the hill. So everything's going to wash down to 54. So there are just some minor concerns, or a few concerns on that could potentially be of a whole host of a major incident that could happen.
So let's say we have a spill. Where does it start? Inside or outside?
Yeah, can you repeat that one more time, sir?
Where does it go? So let's say, I'm a forklift driver and, things don't go the way I expected them to, and now you have, an accident on the floor. Where does whatever that chemical is, where does it go?
So depending upon the chemical, all employees at the facility are HAZWOPER trained, right? So emergency response trained to be, and they're equipped to be able to manage a spill of such. Essentially, non-hazardous waste spill would be collected, dried, or containerized again, and then sent to another disposal outlet, because this facility is not the ultimate disposal for any waste. Essentially, this facility is not being proposed as a facility other than just collection, sign off, and then redistribution. So,
but it's still sitting on site.
I'm sorry, sir?
It's still sitting on site.
Yes, yes.
So let's say we spill something on the floor. Let's say we, put 110 gallons, 2 drums, floor drains. Does the facility have floor drains?
Does the facility have floor drains?
I don't believe it does.
I don't believe it does either. I just want to confirm.
No, everything would stay in the building, and we would we would capture it with, say, oil dry, spilled material, and then you can recontainerize it.
If it left that facility, then where does it go? It would have to go to the adjacent property right outside of the building itself, correct?
without the proper spill protection, yes, sir, you're correct.
Because we're sitting in a small scale. We're not sitting, if nobody's at the facility, or you're on vacation, and, you know, that you're getting something a little bit larger. So then you have to start asking questions about, you know, almost like stormwater, right? It rains, the water, chemical, whatever it is going to go somewhere. What is your stormwater detention? What is your detention for, you know, a chemical spill? Where does that go?
And I'm actually going to refer to Tito on some of this because she was active with this permit. So Tito, could you hear the question?
No, it's very, very difficult to hear. I apologize. Can you repeat the question for me?
Okay. So in the event of a spill that goes off-site to a storm drain, what does that look like from the permit perspective and the facility perspective?
Any spill that would occur within the building would be isolated. Some are inspected as they're offloaded, but if there was an occurrence where a drum would have a release, we have absorbent booms and containment within. If there isn't the way the design of the building and the way the drums are elevated on pallets, potential for release outside the building is minimal. It would be contained inside. If there was a release, though, that occurred outside the building, is that the other question?
Yes.
That's correct.
If there was a release, okay, if there was a release outside the building, we'll have spill controls that will give us immediate access to confine and control. Also, we would be equipped with the sewer covers. They're adhesive, they're sewer covers that are designed, they're flexible to create a seal over any of the storm drains, so that it would protect it from any release that would migrate that way. But our people are trained in emergency procedures, as we also service other companies that have releases, so we know how to manage the equipment and to protect any issue or any exposure. We mitigate any exposure to the environment to the most sensitive receptors.
Doesn't really answer the question, but let me ask a second question. Is there somebody on site 20
Did I
hours a
answer
day,
the
7 days a week?
Hang tight, Tita. There would not be someone on site 24 hours a day. It would still be during working hours, sir.
Right, which you stated in here as being basically 5 days a week.
5 days a week.
So
Yes,
let's
sir.
just say, you know, again, what you submitted, let's assume that it's Friday after your first year. 7 days a week, or 5 days a week from 5 p.m. on Friday until 7 a.m. on Monday, you're not going to be able to contain something because you're not going to be there.
We would have the alarms and the security cameras in place, sir, that would notify us.
I think it should also be noted that we are not doing any processing in this facility. It's just simply storage, and this is non-hazardous waste, non-hazardous waste that's packed in DOT containers. As the containers are taken off the inbound vehicle, we visually inspect the containers, ensure that they're sealed and their integrity. And then they're placed into the warehouse.
I understand that. Under normal rules of
The
engagement,
risk of a
that probably
release
makes sense.
is in storage is minimal.
But what I'm asking is if you have 1,000 drums inside a building, and I'm pretty comfortable, she mentioned that you would store them stacked, which means you might have a second pallet on top of the first pallet. I'm not 100% sure your security cameras are going to be able to capture that type of issue. Now, if they all fell over or something, maybe they would. So the real question still comes down to when that chemical leaves that building, seeping out through the side, wherever, just like rain, and you can add rain to that mix if you want to. What has this site, prepared itself for, and how does it protect the rest of us? Partially, it runs out to the road. That suddenly becomes my problem. It's also in your stormwater detention facility, which then eventually is going to lead into the stormwater system. That's also my problem. So I'm asking, what have you got to, this is not a facility that was designed for this. Right? It's a light manufacturing use, right? Like a warehouse, a standard warehouse. You're technically changing the use of changing what you're doing. And you're specifically asking a permit from the Georgia Department, EPD, to do so. Somewhere in there it says MARA authorization. If you want authorization, you gotta be able to answer the questions. You're changing use, which is changing zoning. You have not asked for that. It's the first we have of a permit change, right? It wasn't submitted to us, it was submitted to the EPD a year ago, roughly. Fair?
Tia, was there a permit for zoning, sir? I'm sorry, zoning?
I'd be aware if there was a permit for zoning, but if there was a permit for a use change or some type of permit, parallel to the EPD permit, we don't have that. As a matter of fact, I don't think I have a copy of the EPD permit. It wasn't submitted.
Tia, do we have a copy of the EPD permit that was submitted to the city?
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you.
I said, did we submit a copy
Can
of
you repeat the question?
Yeah, did we submit a copy of the EPD permit to the city of Morrow?
No, but it was accessible via Georgia EPD, but I can provide that application to the city.
Please.
Absolutely.
And the secondary thought process would be, let's assume that this requirement from the state for a posted public hearing wasn't necessary. You would have changed use without actually even talking to the city at all, until such time as the fire marshal would have went through there at some point and done a fire inspection, correct?
Sure. That's correct, based on those terms, yes.
So now I'm supposed to trust you all on some of the other facts that you have, correct?
That's what we're requesting, sir, yes.
All right, we'll keep going. So as part of your security, you have a fence with razor wire.
That's correct, sir.
My code doesn't allow a fence with razor wire. Or do you have it currently on your property?
I think we have barbed wire, not razor wire, on our back fence.
No barbed wire, no razor.
So you're in a light manufacturing use is basically a limited use warehouse. It's not a heavy manufacturing use. That back fence is up against the road, so whether somebody actually picked it up or not. But there are still rules, and there's nothing in here that just says I'm gonna fence the back portion of the property. Because I can climb over the fence on the front portion of the property, okay? So you're going, okay. The reason you see that very nice ornate aluminum fence that's out there
Yes.
is because it's required by code. If you're a heavy manufacturing zone, you would see chain link fence. Okay? So the safety feature that's theoretically out there is interesting. And then from a public standpoint, somebody like myself, razor wire is not exactly common. Barbed wire, razor wire, same thing, right? You see it around places where nobody wants you to get in, then that means what you have is kind of critical. You don't have razor wire around it now because you're not worried about somebody taking plastic containers. There's not a lot of risk to that. Is that a risk? So again, correct me if I'm wrong, but as the statement was, you would test as these containers showed up to the facility. Then that has to make a logical assumption that certain drivers are bringing it into my city. Correct?
That's correct, sir.
when you come off of that exit, are most of these gonna be delivered by the tractor trailers, the type of tractor trailers that you have out there now?
They would be delivered by those, sir, yes.
I don't have a police officer here, but Piper is a certified police officer, he can answer the question. When you come off of I-75 for the exit 233, you know, we have a series of very sharp turn signs. Yes, why are they there?
Because the tractor trailers commonly get stuck on tracks or elevation changes within the city.
Have they ever turned over on that exit?
Yes.
How would you address
Uh, we would notify our emergency response organization as well as ourselves to get on site, as well as the proper authorities.
Are those your trucks or are those somebody else's trucks?
It could be our trucks, it could be a subcontractor of ours, or it could be a customer of ours as well, sir.
So it could be just me driving the truck?
With, if you would be bringing it to our facility, you'd have to have approval prior to bringing the waste to our facility, but it very well could be you if you had to, approval.
So you don't have 100% control over everybody who's delivering something to you? GDOT certifications, truck certifications, somebody.
We do,
They have a CDL, I'm not denying that.
Yeah, no, we do. Essentially, any of the customers that we deal with, or any of the third-party carriers that we deal with, we vet them relatively close, just for obvious reasons, environmental concerns, et cetera, et cetera. So that's definitely something that we look at based on all of our facilities as to who's bringing our waste.
But you would agree accidents happen?
Accidents do happen, sir.
Okay. So it's not out of the realm to say that, you know, I could lose a tractor trailer at my exit?
I don't think it's out of the realm to say that, but you could also lose it from, you know, another local business as well, just as easy as what you would lose it for.
But they're not putting non-hazardous environmental waste, right? So if I lose a whole bunch of toys, I'm not sure anybody cares.
Absolutely.
So when you say non-hazardous, explain what that means to us.
So non-hazardous waste would be any type of waste that doesn't carry something that's regulated by RCRA. So research, excuse me. So RCRA and the EPA actually regulate the hazardous chemicals that support this. So essentially, we're not bringing anything that has a characteristic code, U code, K code, or anything like that. It's going to be into it.
Of a layman here, I don't.
So
Starts on fire, doesn't start on fire, drinkable, non-drinkable, you know, what's in the can?
Yeah, so a lot of the waste streams that we would be, you know, looking to bring through here would be like spilled debris, such as if someone had spilled oil on their ground. Obviously, you know, you don't just throw the spilled contaminants into the trash, like oily rags, you know, it could be latex paints, or any of the things that were on the list that was provided from the PowerPoint. A lot of manufacturing waste streams, essentially is what's going to be coming through as your non-hazardous waste.
So you're saying your usual ones?
That's correct, sir.
Talking about 55 gallon drum.
That's correct.
When you say adhesives, what is that?
It would be non-hazardous adhesives such as like.
Would these non-hazardous be non-flammable, I think?
That's correct. They would be non-flammable.
So you would say oil is not flammable?
Oil does not meet the definition of flammable by DOT or RCRA, sir.
Chief Piper, would you consider oil to be flammable?
At a certain temperature, yes, sir. But per those regulations probably set the temperature.
Yeah, 140 degrees Fahrenheit.
So 140 degrees Fahrenheit is the temperature kind of cutoff. So it may not, at 139 degrees, it's not going to be flammable, but at 141 it is.
Is that an air conditioned facility?
It is not an air-conditioned facility in a warehouse.
What is your surfactants?
Surfactants?
Yes.
surfactants, essentially any additives that are into any types of paint distribution. The true definition of what a surfactant is, I wouldn't be able to answer that without going back to you.
Explain it, much less spell it, but, I'm just curious.
Yeah, we see a lot of them from different paint companies, such as one of our customers, not at more of a location, but is across the road from you. So any kind of paint distribution, anything like that, we do see surfactants, but I don't know what the use of surfactants would be in their method.
But it's still in your permit, right? Chief, I have questions.
That's it, but your definition of non-hazardous waste is basically just the Georgia EPD or what was the other regulatory agency you said?
Yeah, the US EPA or RCRA, yes.
Okay, so it's just
material, but it's not a hazardous waste by definition.
One of the other, you talked about the exit coming off of I-75. The 54 highway, you also got about a traffic count of about 45,000 cars a day. And you're just past the Sherwin-Williams one, which is just a little bit past 106 line sits up there. So to get into that facility, you really don't have a turn. You gotta be able to turn that, right?
That's right.
And for all of us who actually live here and we enjoy, say, Sam's, for example, which does have a turn lane, you know, that's not, I'm surprised you're using that facility almost at all, just simply because trucks that size are very complicated to get in and out of that facility.
I don't disagree. Transportation is a challenge for us, but you know, thus far it's been a great facility for us. We've had no complaints, and those are just, I guess, hurdles that we have to deal with in general business that we do.
Questions, Margaret? Any questions? Any additional questions? Questions from the city council? Ms. Knight?
No question. I think we just need an opportunity to kind of digest what's being done today and what you're asking to do, what you provided today. It's a building that doesn't have climate control. Containers that are plastic or metal. Depending upon the definition of toxic, hazardous, you know, there's kind of a lot of movement with those definitions and the items that you all are looking to house and transfer, in addition to up to a year of storage. So I think we need to understand that a little better. I think the city should follow up, but I don't have any questions.
What's your bonding capacity plus your insurance?
Tita, we can provide that information, but I don't have it currently on me.
You have a ballpark number? I mean, if something interesting happens.
Tita.
Are you speaking to me?
Yes, yes. Was there a bonding process that went with this facility? And do you know what that would look like, and or the insurance coverage of the facility itself? What's the coverage look like?
I can obtain the information and provide it to the city. I don't have it with me, I apologize, but yes, we do have coverage, and I will provide it, insurance information to the city.
This is comments, questions?
I don't have any questions specifically right now, but when Councilwoman Renee Knight just mentioned that we need to do more exploring of the facility and the process of your work. we interested in the term, the liability, where it's laying, because overall, that some sort is affecting our city and our citizens directly.
Christie?
Yes, I do have a few questions. You said that you have, inside non-hazardous materials.
Not currently, no ma'am. That's what we're proposing to do,
And on
yes.
the outside, there's a yard,
That's correct.
and what do you have out there?
That's our 10-day hazardous waste transfer station permit.
What's considered as hazardous?
A lot of various chemicals, could be laboratory chemicals from one of the universities that we mentioned. That's correct, yes. Very well could be manufacturing wastes, such as what to be considered hazardous waste paint, which could contain cadmium, chromium, could be blast medias, it could be a variety of different chemicals.
And, do you get the same type of, products from, all three universities, Georgia State, Georgia Tech, University of Georgia as well?
Very similar, that's correct.
And so, Medline,
Okay.
what type, waste do you get in?
Most of the waste actually that we get from Midline would be non-hazardous waste. It could be spill cleanup from one of their, if they had a spill at their location. It could be from a fuel spill. Could be unused products, medical, like such as like empty sharps containers. There's such a, I apologize, there's such a broad range of waste streams that we get from Midline. But
And the, is that Cortiva?
Cortiva,
Yeah, is that a medical facility?
that's not a medical facility now. And actually, I'm gonna have to refer what's Cortiva is.
They produce mostly non-haz waste. They're down in Valdosta. They're called the Valdosta, Georgia operations. They produce they actually manufacture a lot of paints and everything down there, but a lot of the stuff we pick up are the empty containers that they have to dispose of because the information changes and they have to get new labels or whatever. So it's majority of just their industrial waste.
You saying they're empty?
Some of them are, yes, but there are other chemicals we pick up from there that could potentially be haz waste, paint waste, stuff like that.
So off-spec or discarded product.
Yeah.
So how do you store empty containers and filled containers? Do you store those separately in different areas, or do you store them together?
We don't currently store any of the containers in the building. They come in, they go out. We are a transfer facility right now.
The containers with these products in, the products, you leave them in.
Yes, we don't unload anything.
What do you mean when you say container?
The drums.
Drums.
Yeah, if it comes in a 55-gallon drum, we don't take the material out of that drum. It comes in, we inspect it, it goes out. We don't store anything. We don't test the chemicals inside of them on site. We don't process anything.
So the vehicle is pulling in.
Yes.
To your storage facility to do what?
To unload, so we can transfer that material onto a trailer.
When someone is there to pick up and take it out right then?
No, not right then. And we have up to 10 days due to our current permit on trailers.
10 days.
On the tractor trailers outside of our building at the docks.
Okay, and that's not air conditioned or anything. Is there any possibility that those chemicals or those what you're storing inside of those containers, is that possible that could be a hazard there? We have 92 degrees today, so if they're sitting for 10 days, will any of those products, is it possible? I live close by, that's why I'm very concerned.
Completely understandable. In my experience, no, I've been with the company for 10 years and we've never had an incident where anything spontaneously combusted.
So, also, I need to say this, you're saying on the inside of your facility, there's no air conditioning, sprinklers,
There's a fire suppression system.
and so how do you have a sprinkler system for all different types of chemicals? How do you,
It's strictly a water-based fire extinguisher system.
none of your products can be put out with just their water?
Anything that would be stored in the building, yes, it'd be non-haz. It'd be non-flammable material.
And nothing would be water reactive that would be stored in there, which essentially would be a reaction whenever it was in contact with water.
Just to kind of clarify, because I get where you're going with that, you did not make any alterations to the sprinkler system, correct?
No.
Okay, because the sprinkler system that was in there was designed for Matheson Gas and the hazard class that they had at the time. It could be an ordinary hazard, it could be a light hazard, whatever Matheson Gas had in there, and it was just literally gaseous stuff. So that's what that sprinkler system was built to. Storing large quantities of chemicals would entail, whatever comes with industrial occupancy needs. So whatever classification comes with that, could be potentially larger sprinkler heads, could be more notification throughout the building, any spills, CO, smoke, all of those kinds of things need to be kind of taken into consideration with this change.
I think I have just one other question regarding your subcontractors. So, your people are trained.
Okay, that's right.
So the subcontractors, how are they trained? Are they certified? Do they have to have hazmat certification and all of that?
So with the proposed plan, it would be the same, just general requirement or waste requirement that your trash drivers are hauling. Okay, because that's where the level of threat, we'll call it, is. Okay, so whenever we say non-hazardous waste, I mean it's in the same category of waste streams. Okay, so any of the general CDL requirements for transport would be into play, as well as with our facilities. Whenever we have someone come on site, we do a safety brief. We also make sure they're aware of the contingency plans and the rally points, in the event of an emergency or situation.
Okay. How long are your tractor trailers?
Typically 53 foot long is the trailer. We do have trucks that are 30 feet long, what we call a box truck.
I did have one question, sparked by something that Mr. Councilwoman Dean mentioned. So currently, your transfer station, storage up to 10 days, testing upon receiving the items. Is it testing in transferring the items from one mode to another, or it stays on the same?
Yeah, and I apologize, I'm having a hard time hearing, but we currently don't test anything at the facility.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing is open at the facility.
Okay, so currently nothing is open.
Yeah.
And with this permitted proposal request and change, so you're saying possibly storing items up to a year. So kind of explain to us how you would manage, test items that at a facility that was typically working with a 10-day window, potentially moving to almost a year of storing a chemical. How do you manage the containers to make sure that it's safe in a building that is not climate controlled?
Yeah, so we have like I said, we have a variety of facilities all across the United States, and it's not normal practice for hazardous waste facilities to not be climate controlled. Okay, so for instance, Chicago, it's not a climate controlled building. It doesn't get as hot in Chicago, obviously. Then we also have a facility in Memphis, Tennessee, that does get extremely hot. So essentially, whenever a waste stream arrives and we have an approval prior to accepting, we'll barcode that thing, which means we're keeping track of that waste stream. We're taking custody of that waste stream. From that point, a general rule in the environmental industry is 10% sampling. Okay, so that's part of the sample plan that you'll see, as part of the permit submission. So we sampled a variety of different things that come through, pending with the state's permission to do so. And once that sample is cleared and it's approved, then it will be sent outbound to a general Subtitle D landfill. So, and a Subtitle D landfill is the equivalent of where your home trash or anything that you would have that would be required to go hazardous waste would be. So essentially for the request for the year, it takes a couple days. Once we bring it in, it might take a day to do that actual sampling, depending upon whether it's received on a Friday or Saturday, because the weekends also count. From that point, we would be building full loads, just so we can maximize our dollar whenever we ship the materials outbound. So we have a full van trailer, we call them. So whenever we go to make a delivery, we're maximizing the transportation. Does that kind of answer your question, ma'am?
Not really, but more.
Mr. Clark, questions?
No, not at this time. Like everybody else feeling it is the field that we need to talk to the professional in this field to be informed before I have an opinion about this. Thank you.
Can you explain to me what your viewpoint is on environmental justice?
Environmental justice, such as, could you be more specific, sir?
Yes. It's a pretty common term in your industry. You probably have heard it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, in your opinion, what would that mean?
Environmental justice, in my mind, and working in the waste industry, is people trying to do the right thing and trying to hold people accountable to ensure they're doing the right thing. So,
in my position, what would you think?
In your position, none of the questions you've asked have been out of line by any of you, and completely understand, what you're doing. So it's very understanding. This is the city of Marna. This is where you guys live. Completely get it.
Fair enough, but there's another definition of this. Environmental justice is a portion of, and I'm not going to call it a right. It might have to be listed in the Constitution. But it basically says, certain industries decide to locate, such as industrial use chemicals, in poorer sections, minority sections, places of color, at a much higher percentage than they would in a different part of town. And then you would sit there and go, I'm well aware, that this particular area receives a significantly higher share of those industrial type of chemicals. In other words, where are the companies, yours and others, located? You're located in my backyard. And you're doing it at a much higher percentage, by far. I think we have some statistics that we can actually prove that. Is that correct? Do you have this?
This does not have the statistics for the company.
I'm not just talking about the company. At this point, we're just talking about the industry. Right?
Yes.
The industry in general. So, would you share with us?
Well, it's an industry of concern when it comes to environmental justice because statistics have shown that they primarily move into, as you described, the economics and the demographics that we have here.
Let me see the ones you have.
Pardon me?
The one you have. Can I see it?
Absolutely.
I'm assuming you're the stenographer. Okay. Did you just take a record in a verbal format, or did you take it in a, so, okay. Can you make me a copy And this is information that is also readily available, through EPA. So the organization usually, most of us will be reading EPA documents every day. That's got to be fair, even from a city standpoint. So if you make a copy, I'll make sure you do it so we can kind of go over it. Sure.
Something that stays in my mind, the facility is not air conditioned. So do we have employees working in that field? It's again not an air conditioning.
And they don't spend all day in the facility, ma'am. They do go into the facility and they may get some supplies to put on their truck to go to the job the next day. But it's, yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that we monitor as far as heat cap.
We know the fire marshal has stated that the sprinkler system may not meet the requirements of which has it. From a layman's perspective, in the event that the sprinklers did detonate based on whatever's in there, I could ask the original question, was now I have water from a sprinkler system. I have chemical from your drums or whatever they are. And it's still gotta go somewhere. And the sprinkler system doesn't shut off by itself. And it's got an alarm, that's fair, right? Again, Friday. So where does your staff live? What would be your response time?
I would have to refer to.
I live in Peachtree City, so I'm about 35 minutes away.
You're flying at 35 minutes away.
Up 54, yeah, probably closer to 40. We have another gentleman that lives closer. He lives about 20, 25 minutes away.
All right, so a sprinkler system that runs for 25 minutes, however, it would be fair to say the floor is wet.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
So this one is concerns where you basically have census blocks, up to 90 percentile, as you cover maps that go with it. And you'll see that is basically us, right? That ring is your facility, right? You see a lot of color codes in there. You see things that are listed in the 92 percentile, 96 percentile for cancer risk, 93 percentile for respiratory hazards. And then you see that pretty much that's what they do like environmental justice. Pretty basic map, right? Not necessarily saying it's necessarily your company's issue, but it is saying it seems like the industries in general like to put a whole bunch of stuff in. I don't think they list things like cancer for no reason. You could just guess. Respiratory hazards, I imagine that's in there too. Lead paint, you don't have to worry about that quite so much. You're dealing with latex, right? What else is in there that jumps out? This is pretty good risk management. Ozone, that's weird about ozone. So then it's the 1 mile average, 1 mile max. Facility census block, 97, 93. 1 mile, you're at 99, 99. That's pretty intense. We're going to open the floor to discussion from the citizens. If you come to the microphone, please state your name and just tell me the street you live on. I need to know your house address. Address the council itself. If we have a question, we will ask. Questions from the audience.
Lana LeBay. I live on Twilight Trail, and my question is, if there's a delivery coming in, you know that the delivery is coming. We know traffic in Atlanta. Something happens, it's delayed. It arrives at 12 midnight. What happens to that delivery?
So if the delivery is late, our transporters drivers will will let us know. And then obviously, we either stay late to ensure that the delivery gets received, or we'll ask the gentleman to go to a truck stop and spend the night and then revisit the following morning.
Question number 2. Now, if you're going to have containers for a year, I have not been to your facility, and as a member of the DDA and URA, I do have concerns for our businesses. Will you store single file, or do you ever foresee where you would stockpile these containers?
Due to the height inside the building, I don't think it's feasible for us to double stack, is how we refer to containers. So everything would be sitting on a pallet on the floor.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Y'all know me, Jerry Mobley, Eagle Drive. Got a question for you. Behind your property is railroad tracks. What is that, first of all, does the railroad have any responsibility or really any comments to do in putting something like this on their tracks or that close? Secondly, what about vibration in the building from the railroad running all the time? You stand out here in your car and you feel the railroad. And do you have to have some sort of, I don't know, earthquake protector or something that tells you if you're getting vibration in the building, or is that just assuming that building is okay?
That's a good question. To my knowledge, we haven't done anything as far as testing. We haven't been required to test anything as far as the foundation or movement in the foundation, but obviously with visible inspection, because we do facility inspection. With this permit, we would do daily inspections of the facility. We would notify the powers that be within our organization or anyone else that we would be required to do so and have it fixed appropriately.
Well, we most of us around here live on this railroad track, and we know what kind of noise and vibration and so forth we get at our houses. So that's just something that would concern me, especially with chemicals. Yeah. And with it being stored, as to how much that vibration would affect that drum sitting on that pallet. Maybe none, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, so a lot of our facilities actually are next to railroad tracks such as yours. Like one in Chicago, for example, is right next to it, because in some of the other processing facilities where we actually bulk and consolidate or bulk materials and we'll actually transfer to a rail car. Now, we're not proposing
doing that here?
No, that's what I was going to say. We're not proposing to do that here whatsoever. We haven't had an issue with it at any of our other facilities, and as far as I know, I haven't been privy to anyone having an issue such as that, but that's definitely something to be considered.
It's something I thought about.
Other questions?
Yes.
Wayne Collins, Children's Way. Now, I know a little bit about hazmat, and I've listened to the fire chief say that your suppression system is not suitable in the event of a fire or spill. Now, we know that you're going to be storing combustibles in there, and I didn't hear you comment one time about a plan to upgrade your suppression system, nor provide air conditioning in the building.
We're not proposing to store combustibles inside the building.
Paint, smell.
Latex, like water-based paints and latex paints are not considered to be flammable.
Okay, my other question is, at the beginning of your presentation, the mayor asked you, and I'm reading here that you submitted the initial application on July the 24th, 2023. However, there was no coordination with the local government informing them of your intent to apply for this application through the Environmental Protection Division of the state of Georgia. Why is that?
That is a great question, to be honest with you. And tomorrow, whenever I go to work, that's going to be the first thing that I look into as to why and
I hope
what is
you
the
were trying to
process.
deceive the local municipalities and the citizens of the great city.
That is not the case whatsoever, sir.
That's all.
Other comments, questions? Couple more questions. Do you own this facility or do you lease this
We
facility?
lease this facility.
How long is that lease for?
Currently 5 years.
And how many years is it a 5-year term?
2022, so almost 2.
So I thought it would make a substantial investment in a piece of property that you don't own. And you only got a few years left on the lease.
Depending upon the market and for the business and you know whether it makes sense, you know we do make substantially large investments into the leased properties just based on our business line.
Inside of the facility, what are the floors made of?
The warehouse floor is concrete, and then there is office space in the facility as well. In linoleum.
Yeah, linoleum.
In the office, it's just in the office space, not actual warehouse space.
So, floors and stuff, with no cracks and all of that type of thing.
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah. Let me rephrase that because we would need to review. I'm sure there's no major significant cracks, but there may be hairline cracks in the concrete.
Couple of points of information. We have a stenographer for the company itself, which I assume is sending the information to EPD. We will take this public hearing and we will also do verbatim on the public hearing section. We will add the environmental justice section plus all of your discussion points. And we will use those for our records. A couple of additional points is the light manufacturing use that it's zoned for versus the heavy manufacturing or industrial use that you would know it. Is it changes zone? And you don't have that on this property. You don't have to do the question. The facility may or may not be designed adequately. I don't know. I don't know that anybody here is presented to me that it has been. In the event something does happen, there has to be ways to safeguard, traditional methods. Just like everybody else, Sherwin-Williams is across the street from me. That is a heavy manufacturing use, and it has been there since 1969 or something along those lines. They almost have their own fire brigade, out there. So there's a different level. If something happens over there, they have containment systems, inside and outside the handle. So in this case, you have a general use warehouse that was not built for the same thing. And, so the city doesn't really have the notifications necessary. The city doesn't really have X. What we do have is trying to meet a permit requirement for EPD, which is not the city of Marl. However, even in your own request, it says city of Marl authorization. So that concerns me in a couple of different ways. So the first one is just easy. If we walk out of this meeting and we haven't asked for the change to the zoning, does the city appear to remain silent on the subject matter? Even though we all have an opinion, but an opinion by itself doesn't mean anything. What is the action from the city itself?
If there's a zoning requirement that needs to be changed, then we would formally make that request.
It says right here under your permits, city of Marl authorization. You submitted it. It's right there on your PowerPoint. Fair.
I wasn't the submitter, but yes, if that's what it reads. My organization does, yes.
Okay, fair. With that being stated, I'm going to answer that question, or ask the city council to answer that question, and also submit that to the Georgia EPD. And we have a series of motions to make. So the first motion that I want to make would be that the city of Marlin deny the request for the change of use for this property. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye. Ms. Knight?
Aye.
Ms. Dees?
Aye.
Ms. Quinn?
Aye.
Mr. Claus?
Aye.
So that goes on our public record for that. Second, I would encourage, everyone has a use, right? There's everything out there from nuclear facilities to whatever, everything is out there. So we have no doubt when the world produces a product, we gotta understand how to get rid of it. So there's nothing against your company per se, I don't know your company. Yeah, but you have to look at facilities that are in heavy manufacturing zone classification. There's reasons we have zone classifications. Yours is right next to retail. It's right next to automotive. It's on a major highway, you know, in terms of what travels through our city. You know, really look at the zone classifications that are available to you. This property is probably not it. And we would simply base that on, as a community, as a comprehensive plan, you know, that is submitted through the state and through a series of public organizations, including the Planning and Zoning Board of Oklahoma City, going back 50 years. These are areas where we find these types of uses acceptable. These are areas where we find these uses unacceptable. And a light manufacturing use might be something as simple as changing the brakes, which would be your partner next door. Big difference. I would also ask that the city attorney write a formal letter paraphrasing the city's opinion or position, and also send it to the Georgia EPD. And lastly, I'll say this, good presentation. You know, so the city is pro-business, always have been. This is not something we saw coming. You submitted it to us. It's a public hearing that was submitted on behalf of almost somebody else. We should be reasonably offended that, you know, you're not working with us, right? You're having a change of use. You're having a change that may have an adverse, you know, position on our city. In the event something did go wrong, and accidents are just that, accidents. That's why we have the fire department now. So people can't drive. Trust me, we can prove it by the accident counts we have. You know, and you're going, okay, you know, but we have to use some common sense. We're here, you know, we're business friendly, you know, but you ignore us, you know, and expect us to rubber stamp something. You know, that's not our fault. So somebody missed it, what else? So you got a response that is not only fair, you know, but it's more than fair based on how you see it. There is a proper way to do this way. Do you have questions? I do thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you for your consideration.
All right, just continuing on. Ordinance 2402, City of Marlin. This is related to, as was stated by the Public Works Director earlier, refuse, which is basically your residential garbage service, what we're picking up, what we're not picking up, and how you make your changes. Copies should be, I'll tell you, copies should be available in the back. And this is the first reading, and we'll have a second reading on June 25th. Ordinance number 2403, which is related to the city's mixed use, which really is very specific in allowing a gas station, if you will, to be in an area where a former gas station has already been, and preserving property rights of the individuals who may have had that. So it's relatively specific. And this would be your first reading, and it should be available in the back end, as explained earlier by Mark Tracy. Planning and Zoning part of the second reading, and adoption will be on June 25th, 2024. Comments from the citizens? Comments from the city council, Ms. Knight?
So we had a fantastic celebration on Saturday, and we have our new reigning Mr. and Miss Juneteenth. They had submitted some very creative, wonderful expressions of what Juneteenth means to them. And so we were very thankful that the city pulled off another great signature event, and we look forward to jumping into planning for next year. Next year will be 5 years, so Morrow has